Hello guys, this is the Art of Chris Bryant and I'm coming to you today with a quick tutorial on my process in Clip Studio. So hopefully this is going to help you guys get better at setting up your drawings, um, how to go about your gesture drawing, getting your roughs done. Then we're going to go a little bit into inking, and then I'll talk about my coloring process as well. So again, this is a really quick tutorial. It's not really thought out or anything. I just kind of did this on the go so I can get this out to you guys. And if you end up liking this video, if you could please just go ahead and smash that subscribe button as well as that like button. It would greatly help out my channel. And I also want to go ahead and continue to be able to give you guys different tutorials and content that I feel as though would help you grow as artists and animators, hopefully eventually into the future. So thank you, and we'll get right into it, okay? Now this isn't like a completely thought out and scripted tutorial, so I'm just gonna go ahead and like jump right into it, and then I'll just kind of talk and walk you guys through my process. So first we're going to get started. So we go to File, going to go to New. I'm typically in the animation section because I like to animate a lot. However, we're going to go ahead and do like an illustration. So let's see here. So with the illustration, I'll go ahead and do standard HD, which is like the 1080 by 1920, 300 resolution. You don't have to go this high. Usually resolution you want it pretty high if you're going to have print quality. I don't plan on printing this out, and I don't really want it to be like super detailed either. This is just for tutorial sake, so 300 for me is pretty cool. My computer doesn't slow down or anything, so I'm going to stick with that. So that looks pretty good. But if you were to like look through some of these presets, this is like the standard screens. However, you can get your paper, the different paper layouts right here. But I'm just gonna stick with this for right now. And also you can set this to inches, where you can make the paper, the page, if you wanted to do inch. Typically I'll work in 14 by 11. It's kind of like the same type of layout. And actually I may as well just go with this, so let's just do that. So this is a page. This is the timeline. You don't have to worry about that. I'm going to hide it. So this is the page we're going to work with, and just showing some of the keyboard shortcuts I love is spacebar with your mouse click, or with your pen. Also I like to add that I am on a Wacom 24-inch tablet. So that is what I'm drawing on. That's what I'm using for my drawing. And today I felt a little bit sporty, so I'm gonna kind of start by sketching. Let's kind of look and see what I have here. One second. So look at my pens and everything. So typically I just kind of draw everything with the G pen, but I'll kind of go through like how I usually do, which is I start with the mechanical pencil, and then of course you have some kind of like reference. Sometimes you could just do it out of your head, if you like, once you get really good with anatomy. And the key with the sketch is to stay loose. Okay, so I want him, this is gonna, like I said, this is going to be kind of like a soccer type of pose. So let's see what we can do here. So he's kind of going to be running. I kind of have an idea of what I want him to do, or I want him to be doing. So I want him to kind of, you know, running. And we're going to, you know, the arms. Something like that. We could kind of get like the waist going here. So he's kind of like dribbling the ball. And you also, like, when you are planning out an illustration, you kind of want to, you know, go and get like references, things like that, of these different poses, because you kind of want it to have energy, you know, and that's one of the reasons why you want to stay quick with the sketch. As you can see, I don't spend too much time like worrying about my lines or where they're going, things like that. Kind of just really making quick gestures, you know, and that's the thing that we call it. It's gesture drawing, so you want to kind of make them very quick, quick motions. I notice a lot of times, like when you're drawing gestures, it's always, or it works better for me to kind of make them like smaller and then blow the image up. So this, as you can see, this isn't like a huge drawing. Like, it's not like all up close, and I didn't really give it too much thought. His hand's probably gonna be balled up. This one is probably gonna be like that. And then also, you want to kind of, so I like to put emphasis on certain things, so kind of want his legs to be a little bit bigger. Yeah, so that is what I just used. This is the lasso tool. So you get to this by pressing the shortcut key M, and then the shortcut key P is how you go. You have to press it twice. P twice goes back to pencil. If you press it once, it only goes to your your pen. So I usually use the pen for you know, detail work. So, and I'll name this layer rough 1, because you want to kind of have a couple passes. You know, so you don't want to, you don't want to make everything final, like the first thing you draw. So usually you could also just test out different poses and everything. I kind of already knew I wanted like this pose, so I kind of cheated ahead of time. So just for the sake of the video, I didn't want it to be too long. And so here we are, and it's getting pretty good. And so as you can see, a lot of times what we would talk about, like artists and everything, especially like professionals, I'm not saying I'm super professional or anything, I'm just saying a lot of guys would like say, hey, watch out for your line of action. And like what I like to do, we like to think about your silhouette. So that's why I'm kind of popping the head out a little bit, just to make sure that these things are like being taken care of. So the silhouette, as you can see, like the arms are away from the body, like right here. See how this arm is kind of like in the body? Just to make this a little bit more interesting, so it's not contrasting with that leg, I'm actually going to put it out just a little bit more. So somewhere in here. And now it can come. And as you can see, it creates just that little bit of negative space right here, which is much more interesting than what I've just had. Okay, so I wanted to kind of go with a dynamic pose. And this is actually, yeah, it's coming out pretty nice. I'm trying to see, like, is he kicking the ball? Do they have like speed lines? Who knows? Just right now, I know that I like this so far. Okay, then we're gonna make sure we know that this is a soccer ball or football. You know, I'm sorry, I'm American, so I do call it soccer. I do respect the actual name. It does fit the sport to me, but it's just, you know, habits now. Okay, so here we are. This is the rough pass, and now what we're going to do is go ahead and add a second layer, and what we are going to do is drop the opacity, and you do that so that you know, you don't get confused. It's for your sake. And then what we'll do is say rough 2. If you ask how many roughs I usually do, it just depends on, honestly, the artist. Depends on how detailed you want to be. So I am only going to do 2 passes because, again, I don't want this to take forever. And I'm using Alt space bar. That's going to help me, like, just with my pen. If I just swipe to the right, it zooms in. Swipe to the left, it zooms out. So that's Alt and space bar. So that's how I kind of go in and out of the drawing really quickly. And usually you don't want to get too close, like for details, because you want to kind of pay attention to the entire thing. What I'm going to kind of do is, I want to make sure I have his eyes set on that ball right there. Then I can kind of zoom in and, you know, just get a little bit of that in there. And like I said, with the gestures, you want to stay, you know, very, very loose. I think that this is a high point in the game. He's deciding that if he doesn't score now, it's basically one of those now or never moments. So I want to really show that in his teeth and in his eyes. Here we are. So show that. We're going to get some wrinkles in there. Okay. And honestly, the best way to kind of practice like facial expressions and things is to look in a mirror. So again, I want to make this a quick tutorial, so I'm not really paying attention or like trying to really give like all the details, but since I'm going into like an angrier facial expression, I want to just kind of note that you always want to make sure you pay attention to like the eyebrow line. So it's going to be kind of crunched, and as well as the cheeks, they'll kind of, you know, when you kind of open your mouth, especially like making that frown, your cheeks kind of protrude out. So you want to kind of make sure you get that in the drawing. And of course, it's not going to be this dramatic on this drawing, but I do want to kind of highlight that. So let's see here. So let's see right here, we're going to get that in there. So see it, and then we're going to kind of push the cheek out just a little bit. And we're going to get that chin just like that. Okay, and we're going to kind of push this back in. And what you'll notice is like some of the things that you have in your drawings, such as like the head, like the outline of the head and things like that. Let's see here, I probably made it too big, but that's not an issue. I'll just keep going, lassoing things, kind of picking them, scaling them up, scaling them down, moving them around, just to make sure that it kind of fits. And again, this is a rough off, so I don't want to get too caught up in it. I do want to get like some details, but not like all. Let's get this going here. Perfect. And then you just kind of think of the hair. I personally am not too great with hair. Kind of suck with it. But I do know I kind of want this guy to have like this. What is it? I don't know what to call it. Like this little afro thingy that is just one-sided. And then it's pretty low on the other side, so it's just gonna kind of be his head. So something like this. Alright, let's see here. So let's see what we can. And sometimes you have to think of it as a shape. Oh, it looks better with the other ear there. Okay, here we go. And so sometimes, as you can see, I have to kind of play around with the image just to see. I want to see if I could give him the headband work. No, it's kind of tacky. Okay, so we're gonna work with this for now, and we'll fix it up later. Okay. Right, here we are, and then we're gonna go to the neck. So let's see here. So neck shouldn't be that far in. It should be kind of right here, because we still have to pay attention to that collarbone. And so now I am kind of just, this is going through like anatomy. So you just have to kind of know, or just, you know, study anatomy, of course. And the thing is, the more you study, the better at it you'll get. And then for some reason, I tend to like to draw the anatomy first, and then put clothes over. It helps me. I don't know if it'll, you know, if it'll help anyone else. But that is my process, and like I said, I do want to share that process with you guys. So I'll kind of draw the anatomy first. Boom, boom. I think this is kind of going to be like, yeah, slightly relaxed hand. So something like that. And then we're going to get that in there. Okay, and then from here you think about the chest, and how I do the chest, I start with the middle chest line just to kind of see how it goes. So it's going in, and that lets me know that this will kind of go like that. Oh, too sharp. Like that. And then this chest line would go like kind of here, and you have that little fatty part right there. On the super muscular guys, it turns into muscle. I'm just kind of making it like somewhere in the middle. You know, soccer guys, they're kind of, I don't know, not too heavy up top, but you know, it's still pretty in shape. So kind of want to still pay homage to that. And then it's just kind of, again, this is where knowing your anatomy kind of helps you out. kind of give him space to the right side, so it looks like he's just going to run off screen that way, or that way, something like that. Okay, and just paying attention. Okay, so yeah, so it's looking pretty dang good. What I'll do now is I'll say clothes rough. Okay, so I'm just gonna kind of get the clothes in on him. Okay, and let's see here how they fit. So I have to think of him moving. Definitely wind is coming. So let's see his kit. Yeah, man. Soccer lingo, huh? So his kit or uniform, whatever. It's gonna be coming. 80. Like I said, some of the wind is going to hit it. Just gonna create some wrinkles. Just like that. And then I just have to really, okay, I'm just gonna give him like a regular collar. So something like that. So yeah, something like it coming, and then yeah, the wind again is hitting. Because you really want it to, you really want to feel that motion. And it's going to be kind of hard to see, of course, but I'm kind of used to it. Like I said, this is like my little drawing way of my process. So it's kind of normal for me. This may be hard for you, and if it is, I would say just kind of knock that down a little bit. So as you can see, you knock it down. You can start seeing the clothes a little bit more. This is what I used to do. And then honestly, it's just, you're kind of trying to think of how the wind would move the clothes or the fabric. And you kind of just try and match that. It doesn't have to be perfect, it just has to be believable. So that's the thing. So I don't think you have to have the perfect, it has to, be the perfect rendition of wind touching fabric. Like, you don't have to, Michelangelo it or Leonardo it or anything like that. Just believable enough. My rough, I'm gonna go into the inking stage. So we'll say ink. And I may only do one ink. Let's close that out. And in the inking stage, I kind of get a little close, just because it gives me a bit more control. We're going to ink this the best we can. And even in every step, as you can see, I like to try and keep, I like to say confidence in my lines. And that is because I feel like that really adds like your flair. And it really convinces people or shows that you know what you're doing with this piece, versus unsure lines where you're kind of staggering all the time, and it kind of shows like, hey, it basically shows like, yeah, this guy may not know exactly what he's doing, or this work isn't that professional looking. Once you add that, definitely know a difference. And also in these steps, you really want to start getting into the varied line weight. So as you can see, like the inside of the nose, like this little part, is much lighter than this. And that varied line weight honestly just makes your line art look really good. Another thing that people ask about, and I am literally trying to get better at myself, it's like where to add blacks and things like that. Like that's like more of an American, well, I wouldn't say American, it really is pushed in like Western comics. I feel much more than manga, but it's still there in manga. But my rule is like typically spaces or places where light is hard to get into. Like so, right in here, like this is clearly like a perfect opportunity to add a little small space of black. Light really isn't going to touch that. And or right here, and that adds, you know, so much more life into your lines. So yeah, so it's like I said, I usually go for the places where you would think light isn't really it doesn't have any space to go. Okay, and then so here we're gonna kind of subdue this just a little bit. It was looking a little can't believe I was about to say cartoony when of course this is, you know, cartoony style of drawing. So but it just looks a little bit more I would say like Nickelodeon, Disney-esque type drawing, when I wanted to have just a little bit more reference to realism, or not realism, but you know, realistic proportions. So these aren't realistic proportions like fully, but I do want them to have like I said, like a reference to it. Okay, and let's see here. Alrighty, and I'm just gonna basically kind of use this and go through the entire drawing. Alrighty, so we have the lines. I could use another pass, but forget it. This is good enough. And then what we're gonna do is we're gonna use the magic wand to select. We're going to select inverse or inverse selected area. And then what I like to do is just top. And then what we're gonna do is with the lasso tool, cut out the negative space areas to make it perfect first try. Just cut out as much as you can. And then for this, I like to go to marker and do cell shade. I believe that's it was free on the Clip Studio. This is just like my favorite brush. And I can actually start hiding like the roughs. A little tough seeing this. Alrighty, and I just chose to speed up the coloring section because it would have taken too long. So what you're gonna see is I'm gonna add a background. It's gonna have a green color to it, and then I'm going to start adding the local colors, and I do that by creating a layer. I will clip to the layer below, which is that value layer that I created earlier, and then I'm just going to create the local colors for all of the clothes, the skin tones, the hair, the eyes, the eye whites, all of that. And also what you're going to see is going to happen really quickly on the pants is that I saw that on the paint bucket tool there is a function that says refer other layers. It just allows you to paint in the tones much faster. And so here we are creating the tones. I'm going to get that skin tone. I'm going to also get the color of the hair. And then after that I'm going to create a layer. I'm just going to have an overlay effect. And that overlay I'm going to put like a bright yellow color to it, and that's going to add like a lighting aspect to this drawing. Okay, it's about to happen pretty soon right after this, so just check that out and see how it transforms the drawing right there. And then shortly after this I'm going to get like a violet color, like a cool light color. I'm going to put that on its own layer called shadows. And I did this because the light is that yellow, so I wanted to have cool shadows. And this is a really intuitive process that I'm doing. I'm just, going around and thinking how the light hit this form and how would it react. So it's just really, you have to study more on the lighting. And at the end, what I will do is go to the color or the layer mode and switch it to multiply, and you will see that it's going to give like a rich, nice color shadow to this character, and it's going to push. It's going to really make it pop, and the light and shadow is just going to really go well together. And then after that I will add highlights to the skin or just all the areas where the light is hitting the most. And lastly I will add a shadow, doing the same kind of effect, and then I kind of blur out some of the edges on there. And of course, like, just finish this off with some highlights on the eyes, blush. I'm going to go use the blend mode to kind of get that to blend in, because we don't want it to show too strong. Just want to show a little life underneath the skin. And yeah, I mean, honestly, that is the coloring process. Like, I just sped it up. However, it is exactly kind of how I just explained it. And here's the finished image. So if you like it, again, please subscribe and go ahead and hit that like button. Thank you guys.